Let's go. Hey, welcome to Felcraft. I'm Hammeh. Hope you're all well and good. It is Monday, and on New Play Monday, we're going to be jumping into a ladder and learn today. So we're going to do what we always do. Going to take a deck that we've had requested or that's kind of current in the meta. We're going to jump in, see how it's constructed, and then we're going to dive into a few ladder games to complete our half hour. If you're live on Twitch, don't go away. We're of course twitch.tv/FelcraftCast. We'll be then streaming this deck more, playing some more games and any other decks you fancy. Today we're having a look at Chakki's Aggro Druid. Now, this Aggro Druid has been kicking around in various forms on the ladder for a little while. Some people might know it as Fel Reaver Druid, but because Chakki's been playing it to such devastating effect in the Hearthstone North America qualifiers, I figured, and our good friend in stream, Ginger Ninja, requested that we have a look. So we're going to have a look. This is very, very aggressive. I mean, our goal with this deck is to get rich or die trying, 50 Cent style, for those of you who are a little bit into your sort of early noughties hip-hop. But Chakki piloted this very, very nicely. But this deck, have you seen it before, revolves around getting lots of pressure on early. And you may have seen Egg Druid variants. Now, Egg Druid, popularised by Jackie Chan and a few other people over the recent seasons, fills the board with Druid trades and minions in the early game. Lets you get control of the board, and then you burst with a faster combo than you would normally. So everyone's favourite Druid combo, Force of Nature, Savage Raw. That on turn 9 can do 14 damage for 9 mana. Now, if you already have a board full of tokens, or a board full of minions, then of course you don't need the Force of Nature. If your board is full, you can throw down 1 or 2 Savage Raws, and that might finish the game for you earlier. So you can go for this very, very aggressive earlier game style of Druid. Now, of course, it will have its challenges against control and similar like that, but what we're going to do is just give this a go. I've never played a Druid this aggressive. I played the Silent Druid, popularised by Crusher and a few other people the other season recently. So we're going to be learning this. I'm going to be definitely learning this along with you. There will be mistakes, there will be some fail plays, but we'll try and work it out together. It's an aggro deck, we know. How are we going to play this? Well, let's go through the cards in it. I'll have a think about playstyle, and then we'll jump in. I'm about rank 10 or 9 on the ladder at the moment, so it's not so low we're going to get loads of random decks. It's not so high we're going to be looking at elite, legend, or legend player style meta, but it should be reasonably competitive at this point in the ladder. We start fairly standardly with Innovator and Living Roots. Now, even Living Roots in a mid-range Druid deck, this can occasionally be traded. Some people like to go with either Living Roots or Denasis Aspirant, but this actually goes with both. And we remember that we can use Living Roots in this deck, and very often we will, to summon those 2 1/1 saplings. It's not often that you will probably want to use this for the dealing 2 damage, unless there's something that you're removing a tank, you're popping a bubble, you're trying to get through lethal, or something similar. So with our Living Roots, we're kind of looking forward to get table control and tempo in the early game by packing the table full of those minions for the trades. And remember, face is pretty much the place with this. Denasis Aspirant lets us ramp ahead, same as any mid-range Druid, but we also use this for face. Druid of the Saber. Transforming to game charge is certainly an option, or 1/1 and stealth can help us in a similar way to the way that you would use Shade of Naxxramas, also of course rotating out in Hearthstone's new standard mode. This sticks to the table with stealth, and if it's +1/1 in stealth, then giving a 3 attack 2 minion stealth, which is what the Druid of the Saber becomes, means that it stays on the table and waits for your Savage Raw combo. So like the way that Shade of Nax, if you kept it alive for 1 turn, away from the 2/2 or so, then the health would make it impossible to remove with AoE damage, pretty much. Maybe a Priest in Circle of Healing could get rid of a Shade of Nax, but once a Shade of Nax got beyond a certain level of buffs, it was on the table for a certain amount of turns, your opponent would have to really, really worry about it. So there, Saber Druid, you can charge and go face, you can stack it for a full Savage Raw combo later in the game. Knife Jugglers, I looked at this initially just before we beat it up, and I thought, interesting choice. But this gives us the extra chip damage, it might help us get through tanks, early game minions, remove other tokens, and of course we've got plenty of ways of summoning additional damage. I think intelligent use of the Knife Juggler is going to be what differentiates my level of play as being very average from the better levels of play. So I'll be interested to see how to work that Knife Juggler a bit more. Savage Roar, not much to say about it. Remember, a couple of those, you could innovate it out even. You could innovate 2 of those out on turn 4 if you had both in your hand and innovate. You've got lots of obscene early game combos, but remember, we're not always waiting for Force of Nature in this deck, even though we've got the double combo in there. Mounted Raptor is nice. Now, the nice thing about this is not only is it a reasonably solid minion, but the random 1 cost is giving you table stickiness. So you're playing against a Shaman, Lightning Storm, you're playing against a Priest, Organized Circle of Healing, anything that's going to be causing big table disruption, lots of removal of everything on the table. It's a good question, Umbra. I'm going to come to that in a bit when we get onto the card. I've seen it pop up in the chat there. Never fear, we shall certainly answer that. But table stickiness is important. If people are going to try and AoE, try and remove all of your tokens, remember we want to stick minions to the table, keep doing face damage and get our combo away as soon as we can. So the more stuff that stays on the table, the better. Mounted Raptor allows us to survive a level of trades, a level of AoE clearance, a level of spells, however you want to put it, and then keep attacking, keep tokens in play. And that's why Piloted Shredder is also good. Everyone knows the power of Piloted Shredder, but again, the death rattle of summoning those minions, if it dies, we can make trades, and we can still have minions as targets for our Savage Roar for that additional damage. That'll be very awesome indeed. Swipes, nothing much to say. Secret Paladins are popular if we're playing mirror matches, if we're playing against anything summoning a bunch of little tokens, then we very much... Chakki. Am I misspelling Chakki? Well, Chakki. It can be one of. I know a lot of people have played it. Hey, General. One of Chakki. I know it's not just Chakki, and I also know that I may have misspelled Chakki. In which case, my kind of bad. But a big welcome. Good to have you with. Okay, let's keep on going. So, but a big welcome to you, of course. Keeper of the Grove. Shredder sticks to the table, makes good trades, familiar to all Druid players, or indeed Mage players. Yeah, hey, it's just a generally great card, and it'll be interesting to see how tempo swings a bit when this in Goblins vs. Gnomes rotates out in Standard. Keeper of the Grove, again, silencing, dealing that damage. This is useful for us to punch through tanks, major threats, stripping away nasty minions. So useful, and also to attack for health. It's useful to stick to the table again for a Savage Roar. It's one of those minions that's a little bit awkward for people to remove. So, always good. Fairly standard Druid cards in here, in Swipe and Keeper. Claw Druid as well. Now the charge, don't underestimate that. Sometimes charging will be better than setting up the bear. It's very much like playing mid-range Druid well, and it's something that I've struggled with. It's when is it better for me to charge on occasion, make a trade against setting up the bear Druid and perhaps not making the most optimal trade as well. But it can be your tank, it can be charging for that damage, throwing it down can very often force the opponent to make silly trades or do things they don't like. Fel Reaver. Fel Reaver is like Death Lord for me. Now, Fel Reaver is a card that you want to play to try and force your opponent to go a bit nuts. Now, when you play Fel Reaver, your opponent does one of two things, and you need to be careful when you play it. I've played it in various bits and bobs before, played it like so, in the various kind of aggro type druids, the silent druid that was playing Ancient Watcher, playing Eerie Statue and similar. But your opponent will throw lots of little spells down if they have the ability to. You need to, with Fel Reaver, either know that you're so far ahead that that's going to swing the game so far in your favour that you having your card shredded doesn't actually matter, or it's at the stage in the game where your opponent is not going to be able to play enough for those cards to make a difference. So it's kind of two things. If I can innovate this out with 2 innovates on like turn 1 or something crazy, my opponent will play some cards, but they're probably not. It should hopefully give me such a swing that it's not going to hurt me too much that all of those cards, from the remove the top 3 cards of your deck are being shredded. If you're playing against like a tempo mage or someone who's going to be playing so many low cost spells, you need to think so carefully about Fel Reaver. And I can guarantee to you that probably when we're playing this half hour, I'm going to misplay Fel Reaver. That's going to happen. But again, watch better players than I. The difference between good and great, the difference between sort of average and good is going to be Fel Reaver plays. But working out when to play it. Having played it in Silent Druid, throwing it down forces your opponent to react, but if they big game hunter it away and play a few cards for it before, if you're playing against a control warrior and they execute it, and play lots of little minions. If you're playing against a deck that you know has got lots of small spells, or indeed cards in general, then just be so careful with your Fel Reaver. That would be kind of cool. Got to be a little careful of that. Force of Nature, no real explanation required if you're a newer player. Force of Nature Savage Roar combo, we've gone through. 9 mana is 14 damage. Summon 3 charging Treants, and then buff them all by 2, and give your hero 2 attack as well. So that's 6 damage with the Treants, doubled up to 12 damage with the Savage Roar, and then add another +2 because your hero is a character, and also, of course, attacks. So, there we go. That's our deck. Doc Boom. Well, Lotheb and Doc Boom. Lotheb denies spells for a turn, might hopefully give you the ability to eke things out just to finish off with a combo, denying other combos, denying your opponent perhaps executes. Hey, if you've got a Fel Reaver on the table, denying your opponent the ability to throw down spells that might shred more of your cards. Very, very useful indeed. And then last but not least, Doc Boom. Nothing really to be said about him. If you're a new player, he is very, very strong in his slot, summoning 2 bots that can explode for 1 to 4 damage, and he gives a good tempo swing. He's a good way of getting further ahead, or in some cases getting caught up. So as a card to help you nail your victory or get you back in the fight, he's very, very strong at turn 7. But look at our mana curve. We want to take control of the table, make optimal trades, and then create a sticky board where we have enough minions that we can Savage Roar early, or we can Force of Nature Savage Roar. Come turn 7, 8, 9 with our Innovates, of course, the last card that we didn't really mention. That ramps us very nicely. And a big welcome, Klavskis. Good to see you. Big, big welcomes to you, my friend. So that is our deck. Now what we're going to do for the remnant of our half hour for YouTube, if you're on stream, of course, we'll be streaming on after that. So do not go away, even after we say we're finished with our episode. We're going to be streaming some more, playing some more as well. Is jumping on in and getting real stuck in to a bit more of this deck or any decks you fancy. But that is our rough run through of stuff. We are now back 3 nights a week. We're going to be jumping into some ladder and seeing how we go. So, what is our strategy? Well, we want to fill the table. We want to make sure we make good trades. And then we can really try and push through with that victory. But remember, if this game goes too long, we are going to be in trouble. That's the long and the short of it. So, in terms of individual matchups, I'm going to be doing a bit of working out as we go.
Malfurion versus Uther. I will fight with honor.
We must protect the wild. Okay, we're playing Paladin. Let's assume, for the sake of things, it's a good Paladin. So, we want a reasonable... Ramp is good. I can't get Fel Reaver out. I want to try and trade the table, so I've actually got a reasonable ramp here. Now, if I keep all of this, I can have a turn 5 Fel Reaver. Paladin has got enough little cards that they can play that they can start shredding some of my deck, so I need to be a little bit careful of that. I think it's going to be making decent trades and trying to get in a position where even if Mysterious Challenger goes down, there's not going to be too much that's actually going to help with. I'm in a position table-wise to be able to take advantage of that. So let's give this a go and see how it goes. Would I mulligan away the Fel Reaver? I don't have the ramp to get it out early, so as a result, I'm going to throw that back and see if it in favour of a bit more early game control. And I'll get a Druid of the Claw, so it's all right. It's not going to be amazing, but it's certainly all right, I would say. Okie dokie. Let's get stuck on the inn. I love it that people call it Smork as well. So coining into a Dionysus gives me the turn 2, which means I can actually Raptor into turn 3. So that's actually a nice tempo play. This works good. You can see that gives me a turn 3 and my ramp is kind of nice. So very much enjoying some of that. Face, pretty much. If we get enough damage in the early game, we should be able to force Roar or push with the mid-game minions. Okay, so we actually see the trade there. So actually now what do I want to do? Do I continue the Smork? Knife Juggler could actually hurt me on a turn 3. Now, I know I said that I kind of want to ideally summon tokens with that, but actually the Knife Juggler, just in case the Muster of a Battle comes in on this turn, I want to make sure that I can deny that if at all possible. And a body to attack with. Absolutely. So the mounted raptor would be nice. Down goes the mini bot, but remember, I'm kind of just trying to face as much as possible. Down goes secret. If that is going to be a noodle sacrifice, it's certainly going to be a little bit painful. But I can actually ramp even further. If this dies, I don't want to lose the ramp even further. So do I want the mounted raptor to stick or the Darnassus for the ramp? I think I'm going to Darnassus for the ramp. What I'm going to do is actually just armour up here. I'm going to do a little test. The test shows me that it's not actually a noble sack. So I can know that that's probably an Avenger Redemption, most likely. Obviously the Repentance, if it was a Repentance, hasn't been triggered. For sure. So pretty much anything, like Smork-wise, it's just go face. Interesting, we've got Piloted Shredder, which you will see in a few Pally-style, Pally-time type decks. I know now what this is, so I can actually just start ramping up pressure. We can assume that we're actually safe from things for another 2 turns, so if I deny spells, I could actually just charge and put more pressure on. I'm going to go for the charge here. Loatheb will be a nice play, certainly, but I really just going to try and force my opponent to deal with me here. And this is very, very beat down, very smorky. So what can my opponent play? They can play a Sludge Belcher. They need to start trying to trade my table now. That goes a cog, nice. Also generates the tank, but it's something that I can deal with, which is good. What's the 1-drop going to be? A Wrathguard, that is good. Whenever that minion takes damage, also deal it to the hero. But you can see that we've got double force here. So down goes a secret, triple secret play. This is now going to get a bit awkward. So I got reasonable face down, but I need to... Ooh, okay. So I can deny spells for a turn. I can Mounted Raptor to try and set up the Savage Roar. The advantage of Wrathguard is that whenever that takes damage, I'm also going to take damage as well. So, remember I'm going to proc Avenge and all kinds of stuff with this particular combo. So what is a Force going to do? A Force will let me potentially pop this bubble, do 4 and keep hitting face, but we're going to get an Avenge and potentially a Redemption out of that as well. This is where a Silence would come in really, really handy. Loatheb will let me keep building table. And then a Mounted Raptor won't let me do huge amounts of difference. I can dock Boom next turn as well. Darnassus Aspirant is most likely going to get traded away, meaning that I'll have another turn of playing 6 worth of mana probably to come. I'm going to experiment with that. The Repentance, maybe the Mounted Raptor would have been a better play. Repentance is a bit of one of those iffy secrets. You don't always see that played. I'm going to... Interesting. Okay. What that now means is that I'm going to lose my additional mana. That's a bit annoying, but interesting. There's no noble sacrifices. Down goes this challenger. We'll see a mysterious. No noble. Yeah, noble sacrifices popped up. So incoming trades. Note that Force Roar would pretty much take me the game here. I don't have it, which is a little bit annoying. So I can just Force of Nature. That's only going to get rid of 1. I can then do 4 with just the straight Force of Nature. So I didn't quite beat down hard enough in the early game.
Put this apple on your head.
Gonna get the Mounted Raptor on the table. There we go, 1 to the face. So I need to build some table here. There goes the competitive spirit. And remember, I am so close here. So I'm going to be a little unlucky if we lose this. Maybe a misplay or 2 that could have benefited us a bit earlier in the game, I think. But remember this Wrathguard, whenever I take that damage, I can do that damage to the hero as well. So can I get smoked before I smork? Right, do we have a lethal? Let's try work it. Remember that swipe here is actually going to do 4 damage to my opposing hero as well. So... There we go. Oh my goodness. Remember, there's the Avenge. I've got it. There you go. Look at that. I can proc. There's no tank, which is good. And then I can proc the... There we go. I like that. Nice. I got the play order right. brain triumphed over my potential fells there. Okay. I think a little. You're going to have to allow me my little bit of caps. Hey, big welcome everyone joining, by the way. Really good to see you. Okay, so I'm not going to pretend that was the the most elegant, nor the most the complex. That was classic Hammeh fail territory. That was classically where I would miss lethal or something. So hit hard, hit fast. There are variants of this.
I will fight with
As General Napoleon said. I do love that. You know, he said Chakki. You know, I think General Napoleon, if that's what you're referring to, you know, we've all seen various versions of this deck, but it's just sort of the Chakki-ish style list that he was using. The other gay Reynard. I did say other day, right? Cool. Featuring Massan and Reynard and like people. You know, I know that various folks, indeed many people, have streamed this. This is the particular variant, I think, from the North American qualifiers that Ginger Ninja has kindly shared with us. Okay, so in terms of our mulligan, we're playing another Paladin, so we can go for similar. I don't mind the Living Roots. Savage, I'm going to throw back. Mounted Raptor, I kind of like. Piloted Shredder, I also kind of like. It'd be nice for a little bit more early game. Let's try as an experiment, because I've got the coin and I'm going second again. Would still be nice for a Darnassus Aspirant and Druid. Remember, we've not seen our Druids of the Sabre either, so maybe I should have mulliganed harder with the Piloted Shredder for a bit more early game. That'd be kind of nice. Okay, in we go. So, Fel Reaver has popped up this turn. I think there's nothing real wrong with... I can't coin too hard into anything here. So I'm going to go for the 2 Living Roots this time. Now I can coin into a mounted, or what I can actually do is I can coin into 2 5-drops. You know, that is where I'll use the coin at the moment. There's nothing really that's the best place. 2 5-drops with the coin is where I can benefit my curve most. Then comes a reinforce. We're just going to see the trades. Well, I know now Argent Squire is sometimes a little bit of a tell. Don't tend to see those in secret pallies too much at the moment, so that might be an interesting one for us. I can go for a leprous gnome. Let's go Smorky. Smorky. Easy to play badly, as I do often. Klavskis says, Fel Reaver is the most risky card in the world. Klavskis, I feel your pain on that, my friend. I feel that very much. I think comes a muster. This is where a swipe would be nice. And you know what? Keeping a swipe against this, you know, my Smorking is not going to get too far right here. Okay. Saber Druid, we can stick stuff to the table. The Armoured Raptor will kind of help us trade a bit. I could coin into this, but really I'm probably going to coin into my Druid and then play a Fel, or I could coin into a Fel and see what my opponent does next. I'll drop the Mounted because that's probably on curve. I think it still makes sense to play on curve here, but the problem is, of course, this game as opposed to last game, we don't have the control of the table. Could be a Murloc Pally, could be more of a mid-range Pally. Let's see what else comes out. I'm interested by the Ardent Squire. Umbra. Your question. If you don't have Fel Reaver, what do you play? It's a tough thing. Fel Reaver is, as Klavskis said, highest risk, highest reward. I would go for something chargy, go for something big damagey, something risky. Oh, interesting. There we go. I managed to get, of all things, a Northshire Cleric. Keeper of Oldham is pretty nasty. I can throw down a reasonably sticky table here. Now, I need to get, like, table control. So do I coin into the Druid and charge, as we've discussed before, or do I play multiple minions? The Shredder is going to get traded regardless. I think here I can charge and trade. I'll try Smorky. Let's go to my opponent. I still think that just face is probably the way forward. Hey, PG, big welcome. How's it going? Good to have you with. Sit and tell us the tales as we start. We're kind of Smorky Druiding. That's the best way of describing it. I think it's not going to be quite as effective this time as last time. Interesting, 2 musters. You can just see that we're really just going super aggressive at this point, and with multiple secrets, it's certainly going to be painful. So I've not really managed to go as aggressive as I would have liked. I'm tempted to play, in the spirit of scientific inquiry, a Fel Reaver. try drop some stuff on the table and see how we go. Smoking instead of trading was silly there. Yes. Yes, to a degree. But with this deck, we're kind of very get rich or die trying. And the fact that we've not been able to fully trade is probably going to cost us. Last game, we got into a position where we had enough damage that it didn't matter that our opponent got out Mysterious Challenger. Now I think we're going to have pretty much suffered the other way with that. Swipe has arrived at us, but it's probably a little bit too late for us. What is the way that we can wreck most of the stuff on the table? Not hugely easily. The other way, of course, I could have triggered that with Shapeshift, which would have probably been a wiser play. In comes the Avenge, the Avenge. There we go. That suddenly becomes a nasty 4-3. And I can't really kill as much of this as I would like, so this is pretty much rip, even though there's a misplay there. We will get into the next one. Okay, misplays there, as PG said. I think maybe the trades. Should I have traded? Should I have tried to keep the table under control? Yes, potentially. Should I have tried to mulligan for perhaps a bit harder at the beginning of the game for either a swipe? Keeping that piloted was a mistake on reflection. Either mulliganing for Druid of the Sabre or Dionysus Aspirant or Knife Juggler would have been much smarter. I think really our mulligan is always going to be early game cards. So that's what I'm going to go. We're talking Living Roots, Leper, Gnome, you know, all of that kind of good stuff. I have third Paladin.
I will fight with honor.
I must protect the wild.
Until the standard mode comes in, Secret Pally is going to be a thing. So let's learn from our mistakes. We're going second again. I'm going to keep Living Roots and Knife Juggler, Force of Nature and Fel Reaver. Of course an Innovate would have been nice. Of course an Aspirant would have also been good. And we'll use our coin to smooth the curve. Secrets may go down. I am going to do this thing. Hi, table. I have a board. I have a board and I'm not afraid to use it. Not priest. People make ectics. Control priest for life.
Reporting for duty.
New joiners. Do say hello. Wonderful to have you with us. A big hello too. Okay, in come the trade, so I'm going to quite happily take the trade on that Secret Keeper, I feel. And let's establish our general table dominance. The one reason I'm going to trade that is because it could take out my Knife Juggler. I would just want to make it that little bit harder. Hello to... Wow, Badwanadis Toads of Doom. That is one heck of a long name. But I applaud your effort. Tushy, hello. Lumindir, it's good to see you back. How you doing? And of course to all of our regulars as well. Do say hello in the chat. Okay, there we go. The trade's coming away there. Miss bad plays and a concede, says PG. Tide says, did I miss anything? I'd love to say it was the otherwise. Right, let's go for it. And is that a noble sack? No, it's not. Okay, well, being able to go straight to the face. There you go, Luke. Your hello is wonderful and appreciated, my friend. How are you? How's your 7 epic days in a row of work? You know, that's going to be pretty tough stuff for you, right? Okay, so, interesting that the True Silver's gone down. That's going to help us out a bit. Now, Druid, do I want to play that and just try and push forward, set myself up? But that will give me the valuable way of punching through a tank. I think it's a Secret Pally. I'm going to try here. This is an experiment. Just keep it going face. So the Druid, Keeper of the Grove's usual silence, I've spent that on getting 2 damage further ahead. I'm going to shred out. Ooh, my opponent is in not particularly fine shape here. So, face, face, face. Face. Knife Juggler is a sensible trade away. Now we're getting into a reasonable town where it may even be worth me Fel Reaver in here. Let's try a Fel Reaver, yeah? Let's go with a Fel Reaver. Now my opponent, of course.
Who am I? None of your business.
You say hello. Okay, right. So we know that at least one of those is going to be. Aha, hello friends. Right. We've got to think kind of carefully here because we know that there's going to be at least one of those is a force of nature. So I don't want to spend my Fel Reaver on the force of on that. It can certainly be taken out next go. So if I tip that away, there are going to be all kinds of buffs, but we should have about just enough to sort out my opponent. So in we go there.
Get down!
There we go. So is my opponent going to have a heal? And this is actually where the Savage Roar can come in handy now, because if I do this, here comes Redemption. That's fine. You know, my opponent's got damage, but do they have enough? They don't. Oh, yeah, of course, I wouldn't be able to get the full lot because I've got my opponent down to 3. There we go, me trying to attack. Trying to attack twice with Hero. Now, of course, the reason that I forced there, sorry, Savage Roared there, of course, is 3 left. I'm not going to say that my mental maths is the best in the whole of the Hearthstonian world or in the end, but I got a swipe. So, got our opponent just about close enough. We're going to hope no heal, pray for no heal, pray for no heal.
Reporting for duty.
Pray for no heal. Unless he can face me completely. There we go. Or force indeed. I didn't want to risk another noble sacrifice. So there we have it. Lovely, lovely stuff. You're requested. Ginger's pick. Ginger's pick. But hey, if it works.
Malfure versus Anduin.
Okay, this should be an interesting different matchup. So this will probably be the last for a Hearthstone Half Hour for YouTube, but we're going to keep streaming afterwards. So if you're on the stream, do say hellos. Righty. Going first this time, which is a bit different. Priest. We need to... Now, because anything aggro against the current control Entombed type priest style, Chinese, Japanese priest, some call it, is going to be problematic. So it's nice that I've got an Innovate this turn, but can I use that to smooth my curve in any reasonable way? Easy Legend of Riot. Okay, what are we going to go for? Well, a Druid of the Sabre is pretty good. I can Knife Juggler, see how my opponent reacts. I can actually... the better curve would probably be dropping something and then turn 3 Fel Reavering and seeing what happens, I feel, before turn 4ing on the Shredder. So would I go for a Druid of the Sabre or would I go for a Knife Juggler? I'm going to go for a Knife. Let's go for a Knife and see what happens there. Druid of the Sabre stealth would be absolutely fine. So, fingers crossed. Me go face. Ooh. Let's go. Easy Legend is designed for laddering to legend. I don't normally play Druid, but I'm intrigued by this deck, so it's fun. It's fun.
I wonder.
I'm trying to sort of size.
Welcome to the exhibit.
Right, chat. There we go. It's a filthy Fel Smork deck, says PG. Certainly is. Can't really argue with that. So, we've seen our fairly standard museum curator, so we're pretty sure it's coming. I can throw it in, but remember that Priest can Shadow Word Death me, and that kind of makes me sad. It will force them to Shadow Word Death me, but it's so super hyper aggressive, so super hyper early. There are other things. I could build it up a bit more, or I could go all in. Priestly-wise. Now, Priests do have a reasonable amount of small cards they can play against a Fel Reaver as well, and they can certainly zap it. So do I stack the damage on or not? I'm going to try it. Let's just give it a go, right? I'm going to try it. As I said, you know, in our little intro, the way that you play Fel Reaver can very much be the difference between, like, you know, very, you know, basic play of this deck. And you can see, we're going to very quickly see how many different ones of my cards get shredded. Coining into a Blade Master immediately shreds 6. If he has a Circle of Healing, that's going to help him with the trades. What have we lost? I lost an Innovates, Keep of the Grave in the Mountain, then comes a Light of Mari, down goes a Force of Nature. So you can see already how expensive that has been for me. We've lost a Force, Shredder and a Grove, a Savage Roar, and an Innovates. 2 Groves actually gone in that turn. So I really need to make that count. That's very, very painful indeed. But can my opponent trade? Possibly not on this turn. So my opponent needs to draw into something that can control the Fel Reaver. Now, what could that be? Interesting is going to trade the Circle of Healing you might be going for. There goes the chip. Oh, good show. Oh. Esports, thank you, Slightly Acid, by the way. That is esports. Here we come. Here come the card plays. Light of the Naru has given me one. And I can Light of the Naru. Whenever my opponent plays a card, remove the top 3. So he is shredding my deck, but can I push forward for victory here? Now I don't have the Savage Roar. I can do 12. I can get close. For sure. But then again, my deck's also getting rather small. So, dealing 2 damage, I can do 10.
What to do?
No, the 2 might be the last bit that's needed between Triumph and Disaster. Now, my opponent can shred this next go for sure. So I can just charge and do 12 and force my opponent to trade into me. That probably makes sense with a Force or something coming up, rather than flooding the table. Juggler could be interesting. It's not really going to kill anything. I can charge for another 2 with Saber as well, so we can do that 10, 12. I think that we just got to put the pressure on here. So, force my opponent to trade or die. Now remember, what have we had shredded? I think we had a shredded, a Force of Nature shredded, we had a Savage Roar shredded. Maybe we had both Force of Natures, I think, went. So actually all I've got left is like a Savage Roar. And remember that my opponent can play cards to keep shredding my deck. Interesting that Cho goes, means he wants to drop in for a spell. Here goes a Holy Nova. Down goes the Savage Roar. And you see, we might have just lost by the finest of margins. But remember, of course, that we still got to swipe Light Warden makes a difference. Can I do 6 in one turn? Not quite. I can restore 3, and if I'm still damaged, summon the Light Warden. 2, 4, oh, I can do 5. How annoying is that? I can do 5 damage. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that I might be 1 off. 2-1 charge, yeah, and Living Roots to face. Yes, this is true. The 2-1 charge and living. Yes, yeah, it might have been. We'll see. It's a good point PG makes. That might have been a better play. The 2-1 and the Living Roots to face. So you see, I'm in a position here where I know I've got a little bit of damage left. We've lost the Fel Reaver. I kind of need to keep the pressure on. So probably it's going to be the 2-1 charge, Living Roots to face. I can do 5 and put my opponent on 1. But then, or do I want to go for something else? Like 3. I'm going to start stacking up here.
Another night on the prowl.
Heal myself up there, probably for no reason. So can my opponent trade the table? They can heal for 5, but can they get rid of everything? I don't know. Always feels good when Smork fails. Go humanity, says Titan. Okay, so if I lose this, I think this was winnable. I'm pretty sure, as PG's mentioned when we look back, we can maybe see a few things that are different, but we kind of proved, you know, the pressuring style concept. One would imagine that the heal would go face here, unless there's another Holy Nova. Bear in mind that we've seen so few cards from my opponent, but they've got so many options left over. What is the remaining 4 going to be? Oh, no, they can't do anything. Oh, goodness. That's game.
Another night on the prowl.
Wow. Wow.
Well played.
And remember how much pain that we saw from that. Remember how painful that was. We saw the Force of Nature's falling away, the Savage Roars going away. So you gotta have some stones. You gotta have some guts. however you'd like to put it. Make those plays, and I will admit to you that sometimes I very much question playing Fel Reaver, and probably that's to my detriment. So, like I said, knowing when to give Fel Reaver a good go, knowing what matchups you can throw down that early game Fel Reaver, that does really make that difference. And I'll be honest with you, that is something I've yet to master. That time, I'm not going to say it was 100% intentional, it came off for us, but in the future, we're going to have to see how that goes. PG says that poor guy was just trying to play priest. Right, so if you're on YouTube, big welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you're on Twitch, don't go away anyway. We're going to be streaming on for a little bit longer with decks you fancy. We can continue doing this or something else. But if you're on YouTube watching this, thanks for tuning in. This was a Hearthstone Half Hour. It's one of our New Player Monday episodes. We're doing a bit of laddering and learning. If you're on YouTube, come join us. We stream twitch.tv/Felcraftcast without the finalists, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7:30 PM UK time. The time differences are there. Twitter @FelcraftCasts. We will always tweet. And we're going to be trying to go live as well, and there's a little stream schedule as well pinned to the top as our top tweet. And last but not least, if you're on Twitch, do throw us a sub over on YouTube. We try and put up all of our VODs from streams, as well as some constructed videos, 2-minute deck guides. We've been doing a bit of Overwatch when we've been able to get into that as well, so do check that out. Thanks so much for tuning in from YouTube. Great to see you. This is Felcraft and I've been Hammeh. If you're on stream, don't go away. We are going to be continuing in just a second. See you soon. Take it easy.